So give us, what do you think are going to be the keys for the Georgia, key 2 or 3 matchups the way you see it?
Yeah, Georgia's having a great season. They're elite on both sides of the basketball. They rank nationally defensively in terms of limiting other teams' points per game. They're dynamic in transition. We spoke about that last night. They're another team who wants to play fast. They've got really elite guard play. They've got great post play. So again, we're going to see a full and complete team. They're tough. They're physical. They beat you to the ball, and so we've got to be scrappy. We've got to have multiple efforts, and that's one of the things that we're going to just show on film today. I thought there were times where we had multiple efforts last night, and then when we didn't have a multiple effort, Oklahoma beat us to the ball or they got an offensive rebound. So we've got to continue to have multiple efforts and put plays and stack plays together.
You mentioned transition and 3-pointers, and when you look at Georgia's stats, they like to average about 8 3-pointers too. They like transition, as you mentioned. That being said, you actually last night did a pretty good job on those 2 elements of the game. And I don't know if maybe Georgia has one more 3-point shooter or shoots 3-pointers different. But what about the fact that you're coming off a pretty good effort on those two segments of the game, so to speak?
Yeah, I was pleased defensively last night. You go back and watch it again with fresh eyes. I was pleased today when I watched it. Our effort defensively. We've always talked about make teams go to plan B. Like we can't give anybody in this league plan A or it's going to be a long night. So I was pleased with how we forced Oklahoma into a half court game last night for the most part and limited their 3-point opportunities. We've got to focus some more on the offensive side of the ball today.
And maybe last night also showing that you have more depth. If I'd have told you that Lauren Ware was going to play 12 minutes and get 3 points and 3 rebounds, maybe you would have thought the game might not even been close at some points. But is that negative kind of a positive in the fact Lauren Ware didn't do much, and it was a game, late in the third quarter?
Well, I mean, we want Lauren to do a lot. We want Lauren on the floor. But I thought Emerald had a great game last night. I thought Emerald played a great game, a great floor game. I thought she held her own for the limited amount of time that she's had to practice and to play and to just, know what it's like to be in the SEC. That's a big jump. With that being said, like after you go back and watch the film, like I thought we rushed some shots here and there, but we had some really good looks that didn't fall. And so again, like we don't want to get to overreact, but we also don't want to underreact. So today it's just looking at it all. We're going to watch the film from last night, find the balance of was that a good shot? Was that not a good shot? Keep doing what we're doing well, and let's tidy up and correct some of the things that could be better.
And what about, I know you said, I might be wrong, but I guess maybe 3 times during the season, you said you settled for threes too many times.
Yeah.
But yet you've had games where you were 9 of 19, let's say, from threes, and you have people. Where's that fine line between you're going to shoot the 3, but then you shoot?
I thought we took about 4 too many last night that were just not great shots. The rest of them I was fine with. Yeah. They didn't fall, but I was fine with those shots. There were about 4 of them that we probably shouldn't have taken.
Joni, the experience you guys got at K-State, you went to play a Power 4 team, very similar, obviously, which you're looking forward to kind of seeing if some of the things they took out of that can roll into Athens.
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, I think I said this at some point. The days are rolling together, but outside of Lauren and Janae, this was everybody's first taste of SEC, and so now they've tasted it, and they're going to taste it again Sunday and again on Thursday. And so we've got to continue to grow and get better, and get comfortable with what that feels like.
You talk about the days kind of meshing together, and you're headed into Georgia on Sunday. So really, first half went kind of in your direction against Oklahoma, but then third quarter happened. Fourth quarter, you guys came back and had 23 points. How do you carry that momentum continuing on through conference play?
I think the conversation is like you've got to respond, and you've got to respond quickly. And you can never relax. We relaxed for 3 minutes and it's a 12-point game. And the other thing is just we can't compound mistakes. And not that anybody is intentionally trying to do that, but a bad shot that leads to a transition 3 for them, and then we come back and turn it over, and it leads to 2 points for them or a foul for them, and it's just a 6 or 8 point swing. And when you're talking about time and possession scores and games, like that's a big swing.
What about, I know you've been away from Georgia for a while, and it's not about the coach, but is it maybe a little bit easier now, though? I guess no girls there. Are you really recruited? You're going back. It's almost just like another game, even though you were there, coach there for a long time.
Yeah, I was at Georgia for 11 years as an assistant and head coach. So, I'm always grateful for the time that I had there. I've got a lot of close friends and colleagues there. Super happy for Abe and the season that they're having. Their first loss was last night. She's having an incredible season. There's not any players, as you said, that's on the roster that were there when we were there. It's funny when you talk about going back to Georgia. It's similar for when I go back to Alabama or when I go back to LSU. Like, I'm fortunate to have been in this league at multiple places for a long time. So you remember the great memories that were there, and you see some people, and then but you're there to play a basketball game and to compete and try to win a game.
How about, one game in, we had 8 teams are 0-1, 8 teams
Yeah.
are 1-0. You have now back-to-back road games. How these appear to be big games, but you can't make them bigger than what they are. So how do you talk about that fine line?
Mm-hmm. Well, when we got back from Christmas, we put our conference schedule on the board and talked about it and broke it down into segments. These 4 games or these 2 games or this road trip, and again, it's looking at the next game on your schedule, right? And then coming in today and having fresh eyes, and coming in after Sunday and having fresh eyes, because it's a long season and you've got to have a short memory while also trying to correct some of the things that we need to get better at.